you're on.
We're on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 63, the big 63 here. It is July 16th when we're recording this. Live streamers, you guys can watch it now. It'll be available about a week or so for streaming on platforms, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever else you watch it.
All your favorite pod platforms, ladies and
Pod
gentlemen.
platforms. So, a former NFL star, a lot of these former NFL stars out there, this one got arrested in a hotel room on the 4th of July. And, wait for it, by Monday, his wife filed for divorce, got a restraining order, and had him kicked out of the house with zero visitation. Malcolm, you guys know Malcolm in the Middle. Grew up, got divorced, and somehow made it look like the healthiest thing you've seen on the internet this month. 3 divorces, or I guess, yeah. Well, we're also talking about Donovan Mitchell, which is not a divorce, it's a marriage. So 2 divorces, a marriage, healthy relationships, different playbooks, and a deep dive on what we're going to talk about, which we've talked about previously, orders of protection. Welcome to another episode of the I Just Want This Done podcast. Not just another boring divorce lawyer podcast like we always say. How you doing, Rafe?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Great.
Everything is cool.
Dog days of the summer.
Everything is eerie, or as Michael Scott says in The Office, everything is eerie. Or actually, he didn't say that. Somebody said eerie, and he corrected them and said eerie. Because he'd been to Jamaica once. So yeah, it's summer. We have the haze. Thank you, Canada.
Yep.
You know, all you got
Canada's
going
on fire.
Sorry, Rahul's from Canada, so
yeah, you're welcome.
No hate, but all you're giving us is smoke from wildfires and beer. There's no other decent
and maple syrup.
Okay. All right, 3 exports. That's about it. I'm not thrilled with the smoke. So
yeah.
Those of you out there, watch out. There's particulate matter out there for those of you with lung issues. Stay indoors, please, and use your HEPA filters. Okay, let's get on with this show. Remember, folks, we're at STG Divorce Law, and we help people get divorced better. We help smart, successful people get divorced in Chicagoland since 1994. STG Divorce Law, stglawfirm.com. And I'm the author of the greatest divorce book ever written, called I Just Want This Done: How Smart, Successful People Get Divorced Without Losing Their Kids, Money, and Minds. Available on Amazon, Audible, Kindle, and where all great ebooks are sold. Okay, let's get right into it. So first, we've got a story here. We'll tell you our celeb divorce stories, because not just because we're nosy and we like celebrity gossip, we do, but we like to find the lessons to help teach you in there that are nuggets of knowledge that are useful for you if you're getting divorced or thinking about getting divorced. Maybe you've got a friend getting divorced. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and the press often gets this stuff wrong. So we want to help you by kind of untangling what we see in the media, explaining what we know as divorce lawyers. We're in the Chicagoland area, but what we know as divorce lawyers generally about how these cases work, and decode this stuff for you. And it's fun, but it's also interesting. So moving on, Marcellus and Anne-Marie Wiley, July 4 arrest, a Monday divorce filing, and a restraining order that kicked him out of the house. So here's the story. We have a bunch of sources from TMZ, Hollywood Reporter, etc. The links, as always, will be in the show notes, so you can go to the original source material. We always thank these folks for writing these stories. That's why we provide the referrals. We're not ripping them off. We just want to point you to their content, and we recommend you check out the original sources. So Marcellus Wiley, 51 years old, former NFL defensive end, a bunch of teams, Chargers, Bills, Cowboys, longtime ESPN Fox sports personality, and Anne-Marie Wiley, 42 years old, former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, RHOBH for those of you in the know, cast member, 3 kids together. Well, you know, if she's in Real Housewives, that she's a totally together and mentally straight person. And
of course,
base
requirements.
You must be totally normal and not be wacky or unusual in any way possible. Okay, here's what happened. July 4th weekend, sheriff's deputies were called, responded to the Orlando World Center Marriott during their kid's basketball tournament. Anne Marie alleged, these are all allegations, so we're not saying anything about Marcellus. She alleged Marcellus threatened to kill her and poked her in the cheek. This is what the allegations were. Deputies observed no visible injuries, but arrested him on misdemeanor domestic battery charge. Now, a lot of you are going to say, that's outrageous. How can that happen? Well, anybody can accuse anybody of anything, and the police can arrest somebody. That doesn't mean they're guilty. That doesn't mean they're convicted. He's going to get his time to defend against charges, have his own attorneys appointed, and put on his own case. But the police, to be on the safe side, whenever there's domestic violence alleged, claimed, they will usually take precautions by either separating the people. If they think there's anything to it, they'll place somebody under arrest, really to get the person out of that situation. They will tend to default to listening to the alleged victim. So some of you will say, and rightfully so, well, that may not be fair to the accused. Well, this is our system. We'd rather be safe than sorry. So we're going to separate the people. Maybe this guy gets arrested. Doesn't mean he's going to get convicted. Doesn't mean the charge may not be thrown out or reduced to a lesser charge. He's going to have the opportunity to defend himself, which is what's great about our system.
And they're innocent until they're proven guilty, like we always say. And like you just said, I mean, and we'll talk about this later, is people can often, based on what you just said, weaponize this, as we'll talk about in a little bit.
That's right. And people lie, and the cops know that too, but the cops are thinking, don't know. They're the ones seeing this. Maybe the children were freaking out. We don't know the whole situation. The police observed the situation and make a determination, and they decided we better arrest this guy for whatever, and maybe they made a wrong decision. We don't know. But typically what we'll see is, usually in our cases, in our experience, we don't deal with a ton of domestic violence, thankfully, in our practice, but occasionally we hear about alleged domestic violence, sometimes actual. But what typically happens is, if there's no evidence of abuse, evidence of a fight, broken stuff, and injuries that are visible, the police will say, we're not going to arrest this guy. Usually it's the guy that's accused, not always. And they'll say, you need to call lawyers. And, they'll say to the lady, typically, you better get out of the house or whatever, but we're not going to arrest your husband or your boyfriend. So usually in our experience, these borderline cases, the police aren't going to just throw somebody in handcuffs. If there's a bruise on somebody or marks of injury, signs of injury, that's different. They're going to get thrown in jail. So that's to give you a little quick rundown. And this is based on our experience. So they respond, they arrest him on misdemeanor domestic battery, not felony battery, misdemeanor, lower charge, released July 5 on a $1,000 bond. That's a low bond. Some states don't have cash bond. That's a low bond, meaning the court doesn't think it's super serious. This is my interpretation. Criminal arraignment, that's the first hearing in a criminal case set for August 4th. That's where he has to appear with his lawyer, and he'll answer guilty, not guilty, and they'll proceed from there. He'll have to say what he pleads. July 6th, Anne Marie filed for divorce. Bam, 2 days later, LA requested DV, domestic violence restraining order. In our state, we call it an order of protection, right, Rahul?
That's right.
Alleging continuing and escalating, this is a quote from the allegations, continuing and escalating pattern of physical violence, sexual abuse, verbal and emotional abuse, financial control, and intimidation spanning years, including rape allegations, 2012 and early 2026, and specific physical assault allegations dating back over 10 years. She also alleges roughly $200,000 in financial harm, an unpaid loan, and $100,000 on her credit cards. Okay, these are all allegations, right, that are baked into this divorce pleading. He'll have an opportunity to hire an attorney, file a response, and defend himself. However, on the temporary restraining order, which is what we call an order of protection, the judge granted it. No contact with the wife. He has to stay away from the wife and all 3 kids. Move out of the house in Encino, California. No visitation for now. Temporary sole custody to Anne Marie. Okay. His team denies everything completely. He claims he's the real victim. Deputies say He told deputies she called police because she intended to divorce him. He's basically saying it's a setup. He faces separate, unrelated civil sexual assault suits from multiple other women, which he also denies. And we're not here commenting on that. She seeks custody of 3 kids, according to the divorce filing, plus spousal support. Okay, what are we talking about here? Watch the timeline. Arrest is on Saturday. The filing is on Monday. Well, I don't know how many divorce lawyers are picking up the phone and filing stuff on the weekends. Maybe. What's more likely is at least the divorce filing was planned and they made some edits right before they filed or something. I don't know. I don't have a Ouija board handy. We don't have a crystal ball. It's a little fishy with the timing. Is it possible that a law firm is working on the weekend, maybe some fancy LA firm, and taking a call, doing intake, by the way, getting all the relevant information, doing all the work on the weekend and filing on Monday? It's possible.
Yeah, sure. It's possible.
Anything's possible. Or they hustled all Monday morning and they got it done in the afternoon. Certainly possible. But when a client comes to us after an incident like this, the time is critical. If there really is a domestic violence incident, we tell people, if we're not available, we urge them to go themselves to the court and get an order of protection if we think it's justified. Now, the criminal case or the criminal issue is totally separate. She just called. The police do all that. She doesn't bring charges. The state brings the charge. And then she either testifies or doesn't testify. And, if she eventually chooses not to testify, the state effectively won't have much of a case, usually.
And the state can also look at the evidence and say, I'm not going to prosecute. I just don't have enough here.
It's the state's decision to make to go forward with that or not. So that's one thing. So there's really 3 things operating. The state criminal case that she triggered by calling the cops. 2, the order of protection that she brought on an emergency basis, or the temporary restraining order. 3, the divorce case. So the restraining order changed the dynamic right off the bat. Now, let's talk about OPs, orders of protection. I call them nuclear bombs. They are very effective for a very narrow set of circumstances. If there's a domestic violence situation, it doesn't have to be just a woman. A guy can get an order of protection also. It has to be from like a family member or a relation or somebody in a dating relationship. There's a narrow set of people it applies to. It can't just be some street. That's the alleged perpetrator. Mm-hmm. So to get an order of protection, there has to be a relationship, and it's defined in the statute. Now, what's being done here is what we call an emergency order of protection. The idea of the emergency order of protection is to balance speed and security against the rights of the accused. Mm-hmm. Because if we're in a situation where there's violence, acts of violence and things of that nature, a criminal action might not take care of the problem. A person might not be jailed, even if they committed a crime. Like this guy bonded out after a day. Let's assume it all really happened for the sake of this discussion. That's not what we don't know that. But for the sake of discussion, let's assume a DV incident happened. Somebody really got hit. The problem with the system before the order of protection was there's a big gap in the justice system where somebody's accused, they're arrested, they get out in a couple of days, theoretically they can act again. And now they're right back in the house with the children and the wife, and a violent situation can erupt again and get worse, and a woman could get killed or injured or whatever. Not always a woman, but could be. Typically, that's what you see. So the legislature, in its wisdom, came up with this tool as a patch, a temporary order. In Illinois, it lasts for 21 days. And you can get it without notifying the other person. So you can do it ex parte, which means without them present.
Yep.
You can notice. You don't need a lawyer. You can file it. You go into court, and it's very quick. It's like drive-through McDonald's practically. You go in, you fill out a thing online, or you can go in and staff people will fill it out for you. And
so they usually have advocates there who might help as well.
In our jurisdictions, they'll help you fill it out. You file it the same day you're in there testifying about what happened. The judge asks you some questions based on your pleading. There's no notice to the alleged perpetrator. And then bam, you get, assuming you've convinced the court that you have a minimal showing, the court enters the order of protection. It only lasts 21 days. And it usually bars, it separates them. They have to leave the property. They can't bother you at work. They can't come to any place you occupy. It's a stay away order. It usually cuts off communications with you and the children. And a lot of times there's a firearms provision that says they have to surrender firearms and a firearms license in Illinois. So the reason it's a nuclear bomb is it kicks them out. It breaks off communications. It gives custody temporarily to the one parent. And the other person can't even defend themselves. They're not even aware it's happening.
Right. They don't even know what happened until the police shows up and says, this is what happened.
So if they do that and they file a divorce case right away, it's like a 1-2 punch. And if you think for a minute that it's brilliant, it's not necessarily, because it really, really pisses people off. Pardon my French. It makes the accused, if you're right, you have no choice. If this really happened,
you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do to protect yourself. But I will say it's just a piece of paper. And if somebody's crazy and really violent, you need to be on your toes and defend yourself and be smart, because a piece of paper won't protect you. If somebody really wants to hurt you, all it lets you do is get them arrested if they violate the order.
Right.
You still got to call the police. And as the old saying goes, when seconds count, the police are minutes away. Mm-hmm. And so, just word to the wise, it's a piece of paper.
It's not a force field that's wrapped around you, and you hear tragic stories about people who've gotten these order protections, legitimately so, and yes, then the crazy person shows up and kills everybody. I mean,
so you've got to be smart and say, if you have somebody capable of real violence, you need to get out of the house too.
Right. Don't let them know where you are.
Get your stuff and get your kids and get out of there, and go to a shelter. Or, there's a lot of help out there. There's more services than ever. And go to a domestic violence shelter, call professionals, but I also call the police to ask for an escort and well-being checks. They will come to your house. If you're in fear for your life or your health and your children, and even if you have an OP, use the non-emergency number, call the local police and say, I need an escort. I'm leaving my house. I'm worried my spouse is going to come back and do something. I got an order of protection. They will come by. Especially in the suburbs, the city, the cops are really busy, but they will try to come by because they know how these situations can get very violent. So we're not minimizing any of this. Mm-hmm. It can be a very practical tool. And for a lot of, again, typically men, the order is enough, and they will behave themselves because now the eyes of the court are on them. They've never been in trouble with the police before. This is like, a lot of times in these sort of cases, we'll see somebody got enraged and it was a one-time thing. They lost their mind for a bit and they're upset about whatever. They found out about a cheating incident, or they're mad or whatever. Their marriage is falling apart, whatever it is. And they went nuts and they did something stupid, and they get called on the carpet with the order of protection, and they behave themselves after that. So a lot of times the order does work, but if you think it might not, don't take chances. Okay, that's really, the other piece is after 21, and I'm just talking about Illinois, your state's going to be different, but the emergency order expires at 21. The protection the respondent has, the person on the other side, is they can bring a motion to go in sooner and have that order modified, thrown away, if they can convince the court, but they get a chance to say their piece and put on their evidence and have witnesses and everything else and argue the motion and say, Judge, this should be thrown out completely or modified or whatever, and then the court decides. At the 21st day, there's a hearing on what's called a plenary order, which is there's a full hearing, kind of a mini trial, to decide if the order should be modified, thrown out, or extended. It can be extended up to 2 years. And the court will then listen to all the evidence and then decide what to do. What typically happens in our cases is we negotiate some agreed order, and a lot of times the order of protection goes away, and we negotiate some kind of order in the divorce case or parentage case, because by then somebody's gone in and filed the divorce or parentage case.
And because the allegations might not have been as serious, that would warrant an actual order of protection.
Right. So our general guidance to people is be very careful before you pull the trigger on an order of protection, because the blowback can be serious. And if you need it, you need it. That's not a problem. But if it's borderline, be careful, because it's really going to anger the other person. And now you sort of poison the well. And the other thing is the relief is extreme, meaning you don't get to see the kids a little bit and just, I don't want them to bother me as much, or swear at me in text message, whatever. The problem is you can't be selective about it. It's all or nothing. That's why I say it's a nuclear bomb. It's no contact. That means he can't drive the kids to school or sports. You can't talk to him at all. If you want to talk, you can't call him either. It's not a one-way thing. It doesn't mean you can call your soon-to-be ex or text them, but they can't text you. So it's a total cutoff. So what we see happen is a lot of times the alleged victim starts communicating with the perpetrator because they realize they kind of have to. And then the court says, well, wait a second, I thought you needed an order of protection, but you're out here communicating with the person and maybe even seeing them. And that happens too. And they let them come over to the house and stuff like that. By the way, when you get an order of protection, follow the order. If you're the person, obey it on both sides. Don't tweak it on your own. So, okay. So in this situation back here with this guy's case, the criminal case, divorce now run on parallel tracks. The divorce lawyers have nothing to do with the criminal case. What will happen though is the divorce lawyers will want this guy to keep his mouth shut, and his criminal defense attorney will say, we can't do anything in the order of protection and in the civil case where he's going to testify, because we have to keep his mouth shut so he doesn't incriminate himself in the criminal case. Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate yourself. So remember, folks, if you're accused of any of this stuff, keep your mouth shut. Do not say anything to the police or anybody else or on social media about what happened at all until you talk to a criminal defense lawyer. And after that, keep your mouth shut too. You are handing the police and your soon-to-be ex evidence. Don't say anything. Don't think you can talk your way out of it. Don't think you're smarter than everybody else. You're not. The system is bigger than you. And they're smarter than you. They've played this game many times. So keep your mouth shut. Don't think you can talk your way out of the charge with the police officer or the detective, or you can talk your way out of the order of protection if you just explain enough to your spouse's friend or whatever. Be careful about what you say, because all of your statements, you watch police TV shows, your statements can and will be used against you in a court of law. That is also true in civil court. Everything you say can be used against you. Your soon-to-be ex can say, oh yeah, judge, he said blah, blah, blah to me, So be careful. The standards of proof are different. They're much higher. There's the beyond a reasonable doubt standard of proof for a criminal case, very high. And then you've got for the order of protection, it's clear and convincing evidence. And then the divorce standard is preponderance of the evidence, a lower standard. So also important to know, he could beat the criminal charge and still not succeed with the order of protection, or the temporary restraining could be extended. That the court might feel, those are two different judges, by the way. The criminal judge is a totally different person, might even be a different courthouse. They're going to rule on that issue. And if there's no guilty plea and no conviction, there's nothing that's admissible in evidence in the divorce case or in that OP. The arrest is not admissible into evidence, and an arrest is evidence of nothing.
Is he going to get anybody arrested?
Yeah, anybody can get arrested.
If you have a legitimate,
somebody just accuses somebody of something and they get arrested, but that's not evidence of anything in the way our law works. Okay, he's defending himself on X. That is a mistake every day of the week. Stuff you publish on social is forever. It's going to get reposted a million times, and that becomes Exhibit A for the other attorneys. And like your defense can be used against you in a number of ways. First of all, you're like admitting you were there, or you say I didn't, like things like I didn't hit her, I didn't mean to hit her, I didn't hit her that hard. I'm not saying that's what he's saying, but anything that says she's blowing this out of proportion, then the other lawyer says, so you're admitting something happened, right? It's not nothing. What do you say? What did she blow out of proportion? See, you get into game. The lawyers are smarter than you. They know how to do this. This isn't their first rodeo. Be careful. Keep your mouth shut. Putting on an X is stupid. Absolutely stupid. He accused her of a voodoo spell and parenting failures. Those are now permanent exhibits. Well, guess what? You can use those exhibits to say, so you're saying your wife's, he's bad mouthing her, which shows he's angry. See? I put those exhibits up on the screen or blow up on paper for the judge to see, show the court. There's no jury, folks, when we're in divorce court, and say, look, he's got it in for her. He's mad at her. He's calling her voodoo, blah, 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 all this stuff. Of course he's angry enough to do these things. The custody consequences of a domestic violence finding are severe. If he's convicted, that's admissible in evidence. If he pleads guilty, that's admissible in evidence in the civil case. That is going to drastically impact his custody case. Finding of serious endangerment can trigger restricted parenting time in our state. Serious endangerment, means endangers the health or mental well-being of a child. That will impact your custody and visitation big time. You could be looking at supervised visitation at a third-party provider, things of that nature. Lots of not fun, bad things. Financial allegations preview, that's just first shots fired in a divorce case. Not a big surprise, okay? It's just positioning. What we'll see, the evidence is going to prove it out. Everything here, folks, is an allegation. There's serious allegations here. He denies all of it. He's got due process rights. And one thing we're big about here in this show, one thing I've been big about through my whole career is people are entitled to due process. I am a huge believer in the Constitution. Your right to free speech, your right to not incriminate yourself, your right to a trial by jury. The state has a lot of machinery arrayed against people. And the balancing is they're presumed innocent. They get their right to speak up for themselves and have a jury of their peers decide their cases. That's very, very important because other countries don't have that. So the system it'll work through the system and we'll get an answer. So anyway, it's good for us to see this machinery because this case has sort of all the aspects that you see in one of these nuclear bomb cases where sometimes we'll see this divorce case kicked off with an order of protection. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's a gimmick. It's used by unscrupulous people to take advantage and to fire an opening salvo in a divorce case. Not always. Some people do it in good faith, but it is suspicious or sus, as the kids say, when there's an OP and a divorce case filed immediately together. That's interesting. So, okay. Rahul, tell us about Coco Jones and Donovan Mitchell. Now, let us know if you have questions on that. Give us comments. Let us know. We want to know how we're doing. Give us reviews for our show. Like, share, subscribe. But we want to know your comments so we're giving you the content that you like to see on the I Just Want This Done Divorce Pod. Rahul, tell us about Coco Jones and Donovan Mitchell.
Yes. So Coco Jones and Donovan Mitchell. This is not the divorce story. This is a nice story. This is Donovan Mitchell, the 29-year-old all-star superstar basketball player for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They went pretty deep into the playoffs until they got knocked out by, I think it wasn't by Detroit. It might have been by New York this past year. He's on a max contract.
I'm not the guy to ask.
Yeah. He very good player. He's engaged to Coco Jones, 28, the Grammy-winning R&B singer and actress. I think she's on the show Bel Air. So they just got engaged. Congrats to the happy couple. They Donovan Mitchell proposed on July 11th, just 5 days, 5 days before our recording. Very romantic, done it big, poolside setup, and of course, it was on Insta shortly thereafter. It had to be Insta ready, and they've been together since 2023. They were dating after meeting at a networking event, and this is nice because this is very interesting because this is they're both they're up top of the game, as they say. They're at their career peaks, and he's got this he's got this max contract in the NBA. She's got this up and coming growing music catalog, income from acting, brand deals. They both have brand deals, and so as we've talked about previously in other such engagements and stuff, there's definitely going to be a prenup conversation if it hasn't already happened.
Yep.
He signed this super max or this max contract. So until they're married, whatever he earns is non-marital. If in Illinois law, it would be wherever his jurisdiction is different. But what about this? The money accumulated during the marriage, all their assets, their wealth, their respective verticals from all the different sources of income that they have, all that would have to be discussed in a very robust prenup.
Yeah,
so
we're happy to do it, by the way. Just let us know.
Just let us know. You know how to get a hold of us.
Either that or we'll refer you to somebody great. But congratulations to the couple for their engagement. It sounds like a very wholesome thing. They met at this networking event. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You tell people to go meet at IRL, and they did it.
They did it. They did it exactly. And then this is we talked about previously the big one. We talked about the sporting engagement, and the music engagement was Kelce and Swift. So Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and they actually just got married recently. I think maybe a couple weeks ago. So up in New York, Madison Square Garden.
Hey, Rahul, tell everybody about the engagement ring in Illinois, because that law is really interesting.
Yeah. So in Illinois, so obviously, part of the engagement is this nice engagement ring that we always get. And so in Illinois, an engagement ring is what you call a conditional gift. It's conditional because the condition is the marriage. So I'm giving you this ring in the event, presuming we're getting married. If we don't get married, you got to give it back to me because that condition precedent wasn't met, or subsequent, whatever the condition is. But that condition was not met. So that's the conditional gift. You don't get to keep it. I mean, now, is someone going to go to court and ask for a ring back saying you didn't return the engagement ring? You can, I think.
There's actually Illinois law on this. It's very old law.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, the person, if the guy or the person proposing who offers the ring breaks it off, they don't get to keep the ring, I believe. And if the other person breaks off the engagement, they have to return the ring. It's kind of like earnest money.
Yes, exactly.
And so once in a blue moon, we get a call about this issue. And I knew a guy when I was a law clerk a million years ago. A guy I worked for, a lawyer I worked for, had bought a very expensive engagement ring for his fiance. And she broke it off, and he got the ring back after he had to write a nasty letter to basically threatening her with litigation, saying, I'm going to hear, and cited the law, saying, you broke it off. You got to give me the ring back.
Mm-hmm.
Got it back. But interesting. So
so that's interesting. We'll let you know if anything about the prenup leaks or anything. We'll certainly keep everybody up to date. But we wish the couple a very happy engagement and married life, and you know where to find us.
Yeah. So let's talk.
You've got Malcolm in the Middle here.
Yeah, let's do Malcolm in the Middle. So this is a real throwback. Malcolm in the Middle was a sitcom from
the 90s.
It was the 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Way back. So those of you who are too young, sorry, we're missing on this one, but you could look up Frankie Muniz, who I don't know if he ever did much of anything after Malcolm in the Middle, but the residuals probably cover the guy's bills. But Frankie Muniz and Paige Price, they did it right. So amicable template, really, this is like a different playbook. So this is in E! News. They have like a celebrity breakups article. And there's a shocking split from his wife, Paige Price, after 10 years. And so Frankie's 40 years old, which is younger than I thought, but then he was a child star. So I get it.
Right.
turned professional NASCAR driver. Whoa, didn't know that. Okay. Paige Price, former model and Golf Network presenter, one son, Maus. Okay, interesting. Born March 2021. Together 10 years, met 2016, engaged 2018. Normal engagement period, Raul follows our rules. Eloped October 2019 in
But
Arizona.
eloped. Right? So we
Ran right
always
into
talk
a
about
wall.
these things. Yep.
Ran
We
right
always
into
talk
a wall.
about these things.
Eloped. Minus 10 points. We need
Elope.
a scoring system, Rahul, on the chances of marriage success based on how the marriage happened, like cheese ball engagement, right?
Yep.
Travel away for cheese ball wedding, you know.
Super long engagement period.
Super long engagement.
Eloping.
Eloping.
Yeah.
Secret wedding.
Secret wedding. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Over the top wedding, like
Yep.
way over the top wedding.
Yep.
Beyonce is plus 5,000 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're going to build, guys. We're going to work with AI tools to build a success-o-meter based on the initial moves made. So here we have plus was engaged 2 years in, good.
Healthy.
Health. Eloped, not good, minus.
Yeah.
Larger ceremony, February 2020. Okay.
All right.
Redeeming a bit.
It's like that, like meters, like going like this, and it's kind of coming back a little.
Pegging all over.
Yeah.
The compass is, or the artificial horizon spinning on the airplane. Announced split July 1, 2026 after a period of separation that we kept private. Okay, that's fine. Joint tone Instagram statement, standard Hollywood issue. Good move. Relationship is most natural and strong as a deep friendship and as co-parents. Okay. Son, quote, remains center of our world. Okay, very good. Frankie credited Paige with putting, quote, her own dreams on hold so I could chase mine. Apparently referring to the NASCAR driving career.
Yes.
And being always my biggest supporter. Okay, well, good on her. They plan to keep building Muniz Racing together post-divorce. Bad idea. That will not work. I'm guaranteeing right now. Do not continue a business with your ex-spouse. I don't care how cool you are now. When she's going to meet a guy, he's going to meet a lady, they're not going to be cool with you guys working together in your little racing team. Okay. Take advice from Uncle Rafe. I've seen this movie before. Figure out the value of the business, buy her out, and Frankie, keep your racing team. And good luck with your endeavors racing. So remember, rubbing is racing. I learned that from listening to Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise. Thank you very much. By the way, Top Gun and Race Cars is that movie if you want to know. Sorry, spoiler alert, Top Gun and Race Cars. All right. The great Tom Cruise, everyone. So, by the way, Muniz Racing Team shirts are probably collectible now. So get them while they're hot before that thing doesn't exist anymore. He posted, then deleted a family video after online backlash. Don't know what the video is. Paige publicly defended him in the comments. We're two adults who know how to be in the same team. Maybe it was a video showing them all together and people are like, hey, that's weird. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Arizona-based couple. Arizona has a 60-day minimum waiting period after service, meaning they can't get divorced until 60 days pass. And the co-parenting statute weighs each parent's willingness to foster the child's relationship with the other parent. Well, ours does too, in part. 60-day waiting period is interesting. We don't have it statewide. Some of our counties have a waiting period. Will County, south of Chicago, famously has a 30-day waiting period after an appearance is filed to get a prove-up done. So even if everything's done and agreed, you have to sit there and wait for a month. So that 60 days is actually a lengthy chunk of time. So this is kind of the announcement we would recommend for a client. The peaceful joint announcement, make sure your spouse is on board with it. The world doesn't need to know much. Less is more, always. We parted ways. We're friends. We care about our children. That's all the world needs to know. Nothing else. Better than having a war and ugliness with your personal brand. And folks, even if you're not famous, you have a personal brand. You know people in your business, people in your community, your friends and family. That's your personal brand. And you don't want to be damaging your image and your spouse's by having bad stuff spoken about you or you're bad mouthing your spouse, because that stuff reflects on you too. we talked about the Big Zamolan the Great Terms Playbook a few episodes ago, and we've talked about this before in other shows. She put her dreams on hold. That's a little bit of foreshadowing, because that's kind of a maintenance play. It sounds like I held back my career so you could promote yours. We're going to watch in the future and see how this plays out. Her version might get read back to him in like a deposition. Like, he's going to get asked, what did you do and what did she do? You wanted to do this racing team. What did she have to do in order to achieve that? And it might be, well, she had to stay home with the kids while I was going around on the NASCAR circuit. Keeping a business together after divorce is possible. Well, okay, I just told you not to do it. If you're going to do it, it's going to have some clever drafting. And I just don't think it's well advised. I mean, somebody needs to be in control. The ideal number of people in control of a business is one, not two. And that's true in business, whether it's a marriage or whatever. You're better off having one person who's the decider. Otherwise, you're just building failure into the system. Otherwise, you got to, if you're going to do this, get a great corporate attorney. We could recommend awesome ones for you. But you need careful buy-sell triggers, what happens on a sale, what happens if somebody remarries or wants out, etc. We talked in the previous episode about buyouts, offsets, structured payments. We would recommend buyouts, doing offset structured payments to do this. Same thing as a race team, as a music catalog. Figuring it out because we're friendly, that's stupid. That's a road to ruin. Friendly today is not a contract. The deleted video, even a well-intentioned post, can draw negative reactions. So be careful about posting family stuff, especially when it's fresh. You're just getting divorced now. You think it might be nice. People might think it rings poor. It's like it doesn't ring well to them. So be careful about what you're putting out there. Announce once in writing and then be quiet. The 5-year-old changes the situation. A parenting plan here is going to affect 13 years of this child's life. So it's going to have to evolve over time. This child's only 5. So amicable start is huge. The parenting plan is going to be important. And these people cooperating is key. The best parenting plan is the one you never look at. That you just work together to do what's right for the child. The racing lifestyle is a custody problem that we see with cops, firemen, anybody with a wild schedule, because they're going to have to work their parenting time in and around their work schedule. And the other parent's kind of going to complain sometimes. They say, well, why do I have to deal with their crazy work schedule? Well, because you do. Because that's what's paying the bills. That's what paid the bills before.
Yep.
It's paying the bills now when you're getting child support and alimony. It's the way it is. So too bad, but they might say, well, why do they always get weekends? Because they work during the week, or they work 24-hour shifts, or 2 on, 1 off, or whatever it is. And the court's going to make sure that the other parent sees that child. So It's not meant to be convenient for a parent. It's meant to be the best interest of the child. And the key thing to remember is it's not your parenting time with the child. It's the child's parenting time with both of their parents. That's how the court looks at it. So people say it's my time. No, it's the kid's time. So that's all I have to say about that. Rahul, what should we do next?
I think, you know what we'll do? We'll do this. I want to tell everybody about this July theory real quick, and then we'll close. I know we're getting to the time here. We don't want this to run on. So as we always do, we always have a little, dating trend, concept, etc. And usually it features our, what would you call him? Our source, our very common source that we refer to, Mr. Bruce Y. Lee from Psychology Today.
Doctor.
Oh, not Mr. That's right. Dr. Bruce Lee. I should use the correct prefix. So, new article published July 11th, 5 days ago, how the July theory might affect your dating. So the July theory is popularized on social media that claims July tends to bring dramatic relationship shifts. It's a mouthful, relationship shifts.
I never heard about this. I was interested in hearing.
So basically, you're like finally exiting what they call a situationship, dropping or solidifying a summer fling, defining a relationship or reuniting with an ex. So that's the July
Mm.
theory. Dr. Lee knows
I
that there's
so I used to, let me tell a funny story. So in high school, I was, it was not good to, if you were dating me, you were in trouble by the end of summer. So I would start dating in the fall, go for about 9 months, and then at the end of the summer, I was like, well, fall's coming. I don't. It just sort of happened this way.
that's the July theory.
I didn't. Right. I didn't consciously think, oh, I need to break up. But the relationships had kind of. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm 15 years old or 16. I'm not going to marry these young ladies, right?
Right.
So I would always like break up with girls in the summer, and part of it was our family would go away to Michigan. So a lot of times I wouldn't be able to see them in the summer anyway, except during the week, which is not good, and they wouldn't love that. So the relationships would always kind of naturally run out of gas in the summer, and then I had to break up with them, and then I'd meet somebody new in the fall. It like was always, it was 4 years in a row, or like sophomore, junior, senior year happened every year, and summer. My senior year, I had to break up with my then girlfriend. She was a junior. I was a graduating senior, and I was going to spend a month in Russia, the Soviet Union. That's how old I am. It's called the Soviet Union then. And I was like, you're going to go, I'm going to college. You're staying in school. This isn't going to work.
Right.
And I want to be fair to you too. And it didn't make any sense. So yeah, it was like this July theory has some credence to it. I think, humans are very seasonal creatures, even though we don't think we are.
And that's what he says, right? He says there's no real scientific evidence, but thinks that more sunlight, heat correlate with optimism, openness, social contact, etc. So he basically says that the theory itself can, but believing the theory can itself cause the change. So it's like self-fulfilling prophecy where people expect July to become a turning point. So then it ends up being one because they go looking for it. Also he says, be cautious about the reverse error, assuming the past always predicts the future, and so, and he urges openness to trends breaking, basically. So
yeah,
like I said, it's interesting, it's another theory, but we'll keep them coming.
Yeah, Bruce Lee is we know we talk about him a lot, but he always has these great deep dives into these social media phenomena that are interesting. So, well, thanks. That's great. That's it for our show, everybody. We appreciate you watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more like this. Let us know how we're doing. Your reviews are appreciated. That lets people find this podcast. When you review us, give us the 5 stars, whatever, 3, 4, whatever, in comments. That tells Apple and Spotify and those guys that our podcast is worth watching, and that algorithm tells us that we're on the right track. So please give us those reviews. That's all we ask of you. This costs nothing for you. We put a lot of time and effort into this, and it's free for you. So all we ask is our gentleman's agreement, and do us a solid and give us a review, please, and tell your friends or share the link on social media. Thank you very much. And remember, we're from STG Divorce Law in Chicagoland, and we help smart, successful people get divorced in Chicagoland. STGlawfirm.com, STG Divorce Law. Check us out. I'm Rayford Palmer. I can be found at Rayford Palmer on all socials. Rahul, where can people find you, sir?
You can find me at Chicago Divorce on Instagram and on LinkedIn by my name.
Check us out. Give us a follow. Thanks, everybody. Have a safe weekend. Watch out for that air quality. Take care.